Hi everyone, Cherise here, your online therapist, and welcome to today's teaching. I'm going to be focusing today on my series, which was how to have and be secure in relationships. So I want to break down all of the steps that I've given thus far and talk you through what they look like in real life and why they are important. So first of all, my first lesson was know your script. This is key. This is key. Whenever I'm working with a couple or an individual on their relationship, we are going to spend a lot of time figuring out what their script is. And often it reveals itself in all of their interactions and all of their communications with their partner. Our script will be a complex and sort of detailed and highly emotional sort of blueprint, we often call it, that is about all of our childhood experiences around relationships and also our past romantic relationship history. So that means the stuff that we experienced when we were young, that imprinted on us, that would be contributing to part of our script. And then what can happen is that in life, thereafter, we're sort of looking for and making happen in many instances confirmation of that script. So an example of some scripts are I don't matter, I'll never get what I want, people don't love me, I'm not enough, I'm unlovable, I need to speak really loud to get heard, I need to behave a certain way to get attention. It's better to keep quiet than say anything. These are all scripts. And they unconsciously live in us. And the reason why we call them scripts is because we sort of pull them out. And they're always the same. We say the same things over and over again. They are stored in the filing system in our brains. As humans, we always like to understand where we are. So once something has sort of happened, that gets stored in our brain. And then if anything in our life that is similar happens again, we just go through our brain and we find the similar feeling that we've just had or whatever, however random or sort of not quite right. We go, oh, that's it. And then we pull out the script and then the script tells us, oh, this person's not listening to you. They don't care about you. And then we take our cues from that. It's like, okay, I need to fight now, or I need to feel really hurt or offended. And it's really important to recognize the script because the script isn't about what's happening now. It's been triggered in the now, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that's what's happening right now. And that's why when I'm working with couples, they'll say things like, well, you don't care about me, or you're so rude, or you're selfish, or, we sort of say these things to our loved ones, and they're coming from a very emotive place in us. And they're often linked to our script. Because our scripts are what we expect from people. What we've been taught long ago, once, maybe twice, maybe 3 times. And then through confirmation bias, we sort of look for that in every situation, in every conversation, to confirm our beliefs. And so if we're looking for confirmation all the time that we are unlovable, or men are untrustworthy, or women are nightmares, seek and ye shall find. We are going to find that for ourselves. We're going to find that and confirm it. And then our belief system gets further entrenched. Our script gets further entrenched. And then we're kind of stuck because we're having day-to-day interactions with people, which may well have some element of our history or struggle or whatever in it. But what happens is that our script comes out and we get triggered and we respond not as in this one little thing that's happening right now, and it might even be quite a big thing that's happening right now, but we're not responding just to this thing that's happening in the here and now. We're responding to every single time in our lives we've perceived that to happen to us, and perhaps the original thing, which could have been quite a major trauma. But it's all of them. So I'll often say to my clients, you know what? Okay, this is a difficult thing that you're describing, and the feelings that you're having around it are probably 50-60% to do with now. But 40-50% is actually about this wounding that you have, this part of your script that's based on all these other times. And your anger and your pain and your upset is from all of these, not just this one. So learning about our scripts is so key, because what it allows us to do is it allows us to take a little bit of a step back and be like, okay, hold on, I need to be careful because this is a sensitive area for me. I'm getting triggered. I'm going into fight or flight, and I covered this in my previous video. And so, but we can start to say, how is this familiar to me? What's this touching in me that's sensitive, that hurts? I've got a script around this. And it's not fair for me to just say, all men are idiots, or all women are hard work, or I can't trust anyone. These are big sweeping statements. So we need to kind of challenge ourselves on that, because our scripts are often very generalized. You know, they're about stereotypes, generalizations, and I'm more interested in the details. Like, really? Does your partner always lie? He's been quite honest since we've been having this conversation. It's like we need to resist going into that extreme all or nothing thinking. This person's all this and the world's all this and I'm only ever going to get this, and actually be like, okay, no, hold on, breathe, emotionally regulate, self-soothe, come back. Okay, do you know what? I'm scared that when you say things like that, it makes me question whether or not I can trust you. Can I trust you? That's a very different way of approaching someone than I can't trust you, or you're lying, or here you go again. This always happens to me. Okay, you know, this is the way of maturity and difference, things getting better. This is same old, same old. And what we inadvertently do is we keep ourselves in the victim position, whereby life happens to us, it's always the same, poor us, and this is the way it is, this is the way it'll always be. And that, you know, we really need to resist that. As humans, we want that. We like certainty, and even if it's bad, we'll take it. So we need to be careful what we just accept all the time. That our script just tells us stuff, we just go, yeah, you're right, absolutely, yeah, it's terrible, I'm terrible, they're terrible, I'm never going to get what I want, life shit, blah, 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 blah. You know, it's an automatic, overgeneralized way of dealing with life. And I'm encouraging you in your relationship, or just in yourself generally, it's like we have to be more tuned into the now and be noticing our reactions, and not just wholeheartedly thinking that our reactions are absolutely right, but questioning them a little bit. God, that's interesting. I'm feeling really angry now because this just happened. Or gosh, what I'm noticing is I'm starting to get anxious. What's happening here? What is this touching in me? And us being curious and questioning ourselves. And when we know ourselves, we know our script, suddenly we have self-awareness and insight. And we can then, everything changes when that happens, because the way that we communicate can then change, which is we can say something like, you know, I'm very sensitive around timekeeping. I always got late to school because of my dad, and that was really hard for me, and I was always in trouble. And now as a result, when people are late for me, it makes me anxious. So can we just sort of figure this out about how we can try to do this better? So lesson 1, step 1, know your script, and know that your script is going to trigger you. And when we're triggered, we have to self-regulate, soothe, get into a calm state of mind. Okay, and then that takes me into the second step, which is all the emotional regulation. It's like when that's happening, okay, look, we have to emotionally regulate. You know, when I'm working with my clients, it's like I can't help but see our humanity. You know, we really like to get hot and bothered about stuff. We like to feel wounded. We like to feel hard done by. And I'm not saying that that isn't valid and important. Of course it is. But I'm simply saying is that we kind of get this emotional rush. And what we need to do is when we recognize that, when we're sort of heightened emotionally, the urge is to disgorge that and express that and often do huge damage. And what we have to do is we have to be like, oh my God, okay, danger, danger. I have to calm myself down before I say something I regret. And I do something when I'm triggered and when I'm highly emotive that is probably not going to be helpful and could do actually quite a lot of damage. So we self-soothe, we do guided meditations, we do breath work, we call a friend, we take time out, we cuddle a pet, we have something to eat, we have a nap, whatever it takes. We've got to calm ourselves down, and then from that place we can step back in when we feel ready and be a lot more composed. And that takes me through to my third step and lesson, which is be in control of how you communicate. Because what happens when we're triggered is we lose control. We feel completely entitled and justified to be angry, say hurtful things, or withdraw, withhold, numb out, stonewall. And these are ways where actually we're showing we're not in control. And we're certainly not thinking about what we're doing and communicating what we want to communicate. We're in survival. So step 2 is we emotionally regulate. We move out of survival into step 3, which is communicate what you need, and communicate it with respect and care and love. You communicate it with the same care, respect, and love you want back. It's like, this is something that we lose sight of, is that sometimes we communicate with our partners in our hurt and in our pain, but we wouldn't want our partners communicating to us that way. But we feel justified, so we have to be careful. We have to treat people the way we want to be treated. Even if we feel hurt, even if we feel betrayed and disappointed and devastated, we still, this is really key for me, I still want you to have your dignity. I want you to behave with self-respect and treat someone else with respect. That doesn't mean that we're condoning any behavior or we're letting anyone off the hook. It simply means we are in control of ourselves and we can be dignified. I think that's important. We need that for our self-esteem. If we don't have that, things can get very tricky very quickly. So I outlined some of the things to do there about how to communicate with control, composure, and integrity. So there are things that we can do. We have to remind ourselves of how we want to communicate. We have to remind ourselves that we're with someone that loves us and we love them. And I challenge my clients a little bit on this. I'm saying, okay, you claim to love this person, and yet you think it's okay to consistently and repeatedly speak to them in this way. That doesn't sound loving. Is that love, or is that something else? So if we claim to be in a love relationship and we claim to love someone, of course we're going to feel hurt. Of course we're going to get angry and stuff. But in terms of our day-to-day and ongoing interaction with them, we should strive to be loving. We should really try to love the people we claim to love. And our tone of voice and how we speak to someone is a big indicator of that. Because we're always looking to our partner to see what we're going to be getting back. And if what we're getting back is not loving, we know that. And all we're going to do is take a step out of the relationship. And so the upset that we're experiencing often is around a disconnection of sorts and a desire for more closeness. But how we communicate creates further distance. Becomes a sort of self-defeating process. So I really challenge you guys to learn how to communicate with control. Then in my next lesson and step, I spoke about beware, beware, beware. Do not fall into the trap of fault finding. I feel like this is slightly addictive. Once we start noticing faults, we just get into this mindset and that's all we see. And it's all we point out. And we become sarcastic and snide and we roll our eyes. This again isn't loving, and it's certainly not helpful, and it's certainly not going to get someone to come closer to you and feel really tender and loving towards you. It's creating further distance, and what we're doing is we're protecting ourselves. We're in an individual space rather than a relational space, which is, let me communicate with care. Instead, we can be snipey and a bit snippy, and we can make quite cutting and cruel remarks, and we don't really think about it. We feel fine about it. And actually, we're a bit emotionally disconnected ourselves there. It's like if we were really connected with ourselves, we'd recognize that's not cool. That's not kind, and it's not going to get me what I want. So do not fall into the trap of becoming a fault finder and over-focusing and only seeing the negative in your relationship and your partner. And the tool I gave for that was gratitude. Gratitude lists every day, every day. If you're in a bad way, you've got to start writing gratitude lists. Because you're triggered and you're in your script and you're in extreme thinking and it's all negative, and nothing is all negative. We have to hold on to the good. We have to hold on to the positive. We have to hold on to hope. And so gratitude lists just allow us to balance the things that we're working on with our partners with the great stuff around them. and our relationship and how we feel when we're with them. And so we can be balanced in how we move forward, as opposed to there's no good, there's only bad, and until that's completely and utterly eradicated and I get everything I want and need, only then will I acknowledge that there's some good. No, we can't do that. People are not going to be responsive to that. You know, it's really when we are committed to someone and see the good in people, then the best comes out of the other person and ourselves. Let's evoke the best in each other, not the worst. This is what we inadvertently do a lot of the time. And then finally, I spoke about the two concerns, the two needs that are underneath a lot of this behavior in our relationships, or difficult behavior in our relationships. And that is one person constantly looking to their partner and thinking, can I trust this person with my heart? And the other partner thinking, am I ever going to be enough for this person? And I've seen this so many times in my practice, and it's very moving to see. And what happens is that there's a lot of noise and communicating, or pseudo communicating and arguing that takes place within a couple, and underneath are these two very simple questions, and these are coming from a core fear place. You know, we are humans. We want to attach, we want to connect, and we come with fear. We come with fear. And for a lot of us, the fear is, can I trust you? Are you going to be the one that's going to take my heart and take my future? Can I give that to you? Because if we're questioning that, then that's when we're going to come back with the nagging and the criticism and the unsolicited advice. It's kind of, you know, it's like what we're really saying is that I'm not sure I trust you with my heart. You know, can I? And so that's when the other partner needs to kind of step up, take a bit of leadership and be like, yeah, you can trust me. I'm going to have your back. I'm going to look to our future. I'm going to create security for us. And then for that person, often a fear or concern that they have is, am I ever going to be enough? And so if the other person's like, I don't trust you, and I don't trust you with my heart, and nagging and critical, the message that person is going to receive is, you're never going to be enough. And so then we have this thing where two people are having their gravest concerns confirmed all day long by the one person who could take that away and offer reassurance instead, offer love instead. And this is when, you know, all this other stuff is quite sort of practical, and we have to be quite sort of tough on ourselves. This is about loving each other. I love this part. It's like there's this person who wants to know if they can trust you with their heart. And here we have someone who thinks, am I ever going to be enough for you? And we're in a position where we can allow those fears to be completely calmed. And we can reassure one another that that person is enough. And that this is what happens, you know, when you do this, I really trust you. And two people can grow and learn how to meet both of those needs and calm and reassure and love those concerns. And within that, we are then much more secure in our relationship, because our partner is taking responsibility for their own stuff. They know their script, and they're calming themselves down when they're triggered. They're communicating in the best way they can, with love, with care. They're being mindful to not be negative or to be hurtful in how they view the relationship. And they're actively trying to calm and love and reassure your fears. When two people are doing that in a relationship, when we allow our partner to step in and do that, when we allow our partner to win and be enough, when we behave in trustworthy ways to our partner, the relationship becomes more and more secure. It strengthens and strengthens over time. And everyone becomes calmer in that relationship, more trusting, and there isn't that constant worrying and fighting and questioning. There is security. And then that means we react less, which means we're more secure. And so it goes, and so it builds. So that was all about my whole series on how to be more secure in relationships. I really hope that that's given you some concrete stuff to understand how feeling secure works and what you need to be doing and focusing on every day to achieve that. I wish you all the best. Good luck. Let me know your thoughts and comments as ever, and I'll see you next time.